There is a difference between being lonely and being alone. And most people in relationships do not know the difference. Lonely is when there is no one there. Alone is when someone is right next to you and you still feel it. And that second kind, the one where you are lying in bed next to someone and you still feel like you are the only person in that room, that is the one that breaks you. Today on the Love Lab podcast with Emmanuel Hannah, we are going to talk about why feeling alone in a relationship is worse than being single, and why most people do not even realize it is happening until the damage is already done. Here is what most people get wrong about loneliness. They think loneliness means the absence of people, but loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the absence of connection. And you can be surrounded by someone every single day, eating with them, sleeping next to them, raising children with them, and still feel completely unseen. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a room with someone you love and still felt like you were talking to a wall? Not because they are cruel, not because they are mean, but because they are there but not present. Their body is in the room, but their attention is somewhere else. Their eyes are looking at you, but they are not seeing you. That is not loneliness. That is something worse. That is alone. Because when you are single and you feel lonely, you know what the problem is. There is no one there. The solution is simple. Even if it is hard, you go find connection. But when you are in relationship and you feel alone, you do not know what the problem is, because everything looks like it should be working. There is someone there. There is a person sitting across from you at dinner. There is a body next to you in bed, and yet the emptiness does not go away. And now you are confused, because how can you be lonely when you are not alone? And here is where it gets dangerous. Because when you feel alone in a relationship, you start to question yourself. You start to think, maybe I am asking for too much. Maybe I am too needy. Maybe this is just how relationships are. Maybe everyone feels this way, and I am the only one complaining. So you stop naming it. You stop saying, I feel unseen. You stop saying, I feel disconnected. You stop saying, I need more from you. Because every time you said it before, nothing changed. So now, you have trained yourself to translate your loneliness into silence. And that silence does not make the loneliness go away. It makes it normal. That is the trap. Not that the loneliness exists, but that you have accepted it as the price of being in a relationship. You have convinced yourself that this is what love looks like. Two people sharing a life, but not sharing a moment. Two people occupying the same space, but not the same reality. And listen to me carefully, that is not love. That is coexistence. And coexistence will serve you the same way loneliness does. It just takes longer. If this is already speaking to something you are going through, keep watching, because the next part is where most people get stopped. Subscribe if you are not already part of the Love Lab podcast with Emmanuel Hannah's family. Now, let me tell you why feeling alone in a relationship is worse than being single. Because when you are single, loneliness is an open wound. You can see it. You can name it. You can treat it. You can reach out to a friend. You can call someone. You can go somewhere. You can do something about it because the problem is obvious. There is no one there. But when you are alone inside the relationship, the wound is invisible. You cannot name it without sounding ungrateful. You cannot treat it without making your partner feel like they are failing. You cannot reach out for help without someone saying, but you have a partner. What do you have to be lonely about? And that is the cruelest part, because the world does not recognize relationship loneliness as real. When you are single, people understand your pain. When you are in a relationship and you say you feel alone, people look at you as if you are spoiled. Like you have food on your plate and you are complaining about being hungry. But the food on your plate is plastic. It looks real. It fills the space, but it has no nourishment, and you are starving in a full room. Here is something nobody talks about. The most painful moment in a relationship is not the argument. It is not the fight. It is the moment you stop trying. The moment you stop preaching. The moment you stop asking for attention because you have learned that asking does not change anything. Because when you are still trying, there is hope. When you are still asking, there is a part of you that believes it can get better. But when you stop, when you go quiet, when you stop asking, when you start filling your time with everything except your partner, that is not peace. That is grief. You are mourning a relationship that is still technically alive. And this is where good people get trapped, because they do not want to live. They do not want to give up. They think, maybe if I just stop expecting so much, I will stop feeling so hot. Maybe if I lower my standard, the gap between what I have and what I need will close. But it does not close. It widens. Because the less you expect, the less you receive. And the less you receive, the more alone you feel, until one day you wake up and you do not even remember what it felt like to be truly seen by this person. And that is the moment most people miss. They think the relationship ended when someone looks out, but it did not. It ended long before that. It ended the day you stop expecting to be seen. So, what changes this? Because this conversation cannot just be about naming the pain. It has to be about what you do with it. Honesty changes this. Not the kind of honesty that blames. The kind that names. Saying to your partner, not in anger, not in resentment, but in truth, I am alone in this relationship and I cannot survive like this anymore. That is not an attack. That is a lifeline. Because some people do not know they are absent. They are not cruel. They are distracted. They are disconnected. And your honesty might be the thing that wakes them up. Boundaries changes this. Saying, I will not accept coexistence as a substitute for connection. I will not pretend that being in the same room is the same as being in the same relationship. That is not demanding too much. That is demanding what love requires. And self-honesty changes this. For the people listening who are in a relationship right now and feels this pulling in their chest, ask yourself one question. Not, do I love them? Because you probably do. Ask yourself, when was the last time I felt truly seen by this person? Not tolerated, not managed. Seen. And if you cannot remember, that is your answer. Because love does not meant to make you invisible. Love was never meant to make you feel like a death in your own life. If your relationship has turned you into someone who is present but unseen, that is not love asking you to be present. That is neglect asking you to be quiet. And there is a difference. Feeling alone in a relationship is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that your need for a connection is working. Your hunger for being seen is not a flaw. It is the most human thing about you, and the fact that you still feel it even after being ignored, even after being dismissed, even after years of coexistence, means you have not given up. You are still alive inside. And that alive part of you is worth fighting for. If you are watching this and you know it is time to stop pretending, hear me. Naming what is happening is not giving up. It is the first step towards change. Whether that change is repairing the relationship or having the courage to leave it, the first step is the same. Tell the truth. Say it out loud. I am alone and I do not want to be anymore. If this episode spoke to something you are experiencing, share it. Someone in your circle needs to hear this today. Drop a comment below. Have you ever felt more alone in a relationship than you did being single? What did you do about it? Let us hear from you. This is the Love Lab Podcast with Emmanuel Hannah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Bye.